And now, streaming live from the sunny Southern California coast, this is Options Uncensored.
Hey everybody, I'm Steve. Welcome to Options Uncensored. We're making real options trades in real time together. Let's get right into it. First things first, make sure you have your brokerage account open so you can follow along. Set your YouTube video quality as high as possible. That way you can read the numbers a whole lot easier. Have a calculator ready so you can do some easy math. And finally, please remember this is not financial advice. This is all just for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's go over our open positions. XOP filled this morning. It was a short call spread. We'll go over that in a second. JP Morgan did get filled yesterday. We opened at 81, so we're setting this at 40 to close. This one's probably going to take a while. So we're down today, but this is only day one, December expiration. Same thing with SPY, December expiration down a little bit. That's okay, we got some time. Our gold call spread. What's gold? Gold's moving in our favor today. This is now November expiration. So this one should work out. We'll check in on it during the show. Macy's. I know Macy's has earnings in a couple weeks, so that's good. We're almost there. And then Roku. Roku's moved against us a lot. Roku has earnings next week. So once earnings happen, a lot of the premium in this number will get sucked out. If it moves in our favor, great. If it moves against us, we may have to roll out and down for December expiration. So we'll have more information. I think earnings are on the 1st, next week, Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on that. XOP, let's go over it. So on this day right here, on October 9th, we opened up a short call spread. It was a 160, 165 as our strike. So 160 is up here, and 165 is up here. So it did move against us a lot. We were probably down $80 or so at one point. It's come back down exactly to the point where we opened it, but we already made our money because of theta decay and volatility coming out of it too. Okay, so we made $32 by risking a $500 spread. So let's take our calculators. That's 32 divided by 500. We made a 6.4% return on that $500. That's all we risked was 500 and made 32. 6.4% is not bad. Like I always say, the average return for the S&P over the entire year is around 9%. If you held bonds for the entire year, you're going to get around 5%. We made 6.4% in 2 weeks. All right, so not bad. Good job. Let's look for something new. First on the list, we got a lot to go over today. Let's follow up with Google from yesterday. So it was down yesterday after earnings, down again today. We should get a bounce somewhere around 118 or so. So let's see what the put side looks like. Let me set this up to calls and puts. We are doing December expiration now. December expiration, set that. If you sold the 105 and bought the 100, that's 86 minus 48 divided by 2 divided by 500. Hold on. I messed it up. 86 minus 48 divided by 2 divided by 500. Only 3.8%. Let's wait a couple more days as it gets closer to 118, okay? On the call side, though, I'd skip the call side. We'll keep an eye on Google. Next is Meta. Meta reported earnings yesterday after the close. Let's check in on it. So we've had this long move up since a year ago. It's kind of stalled out here. Could get a bounce today. On the put side, let's see if anything's worth it. If you sold the 240 and bought the 235, that's 310 minus 251. Divide that by 2, divide that by 500. Almost 6% on the put side. Okay. On the call side, if you sold the 325 and bought the 330, 320 minus 257, divide that by 2, divide that by 500, 6.3% on the call side. So fairly evenly priced on both the call and the put side. I mean, this could go either way. Interesting. Let's look at MasterCard next, MA. This is post earnings as well. Could keep falling, could get a bounce around 360 or so. On the put side, if you sold the 3, this one's not as liquid as I'd hoped. The spread here is 30-cent spread here. Too much. We're going to skip MasterCard on the put side. On the call side, same thing. 195, 217. These spreads aren't that great. 20-cent spread here. Let's move on to Comcast. Are there earnings on this one? Yeah, I think it's earnings. Earnings were today before the open. All right. Seems to have caught a bounce already. On the put side, skip the put side. On the call side, we're going to skip this one too. Next, Brunswick. Was this on the list? Earnings. I think we've already missed the move on this one. It's a big move up and it's already sold off. Earnings are illiquid. Sorry, options are illiquid. Too much of a spread and no volume here. Next is Southwest. Post earnings, maybe? Correct. It's down a lot. It's almost down to the COVID lows. Actually, it is at the COVID lows. Could get a bounce here, or could break down even further. Let's see what the put side is. The 20 is too close and the 17.5 is too far out. And the call side isn't worth it. Let's move on. Morgan Stanley. I know we opened JP Morgan yesterday. Next earnings are in January, so no earnings we have to worry about. Did catch a bounce. We didn't sell puts. We talked about it. If today you open the 65, sold the 65 and bought the 60, what do you get? 85 minus 36 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5%. No more on the put side. We missed it. On the call side, if you sold the 80 and bought the 85, what do you get? 39 minus 12 divided by 2 divided by 500, 2.7. Skip the call side. If you open something on the put side of Morgan Stanley, congrats. Good for you. We held off. Honeywell is next. HON. Earnings? Earnings today. Flat. Too illiquid as well. Let's move on. Royal Caribbean, RCL. This is the best of the cruise lines. Earnings were today before the open. Should catch a bounce here. Let's see what the put side is. If you sold the 70 and bought the 65. Oh, yeah, no, don't do that. The 65 is very liquid. It's a 71, 120 spread. What if we did the 70, 67.5, 250 bucks? It's too illiquid, unfortunately. What a shame. I've traded Royal Caribbean years ago. Next. Service now. I think this is earnings as well. Lots of earnings we're going to get through. Yes, yesterday after the close. Up almost 6% today. What does the call side look like? Anything here? If you sold the 630, not a lot of volume. $1 spread. No bueno. Next, IBM up 4%. Earnings were yesterday. Good. I don't know what to do here. If you sold the 130 and bought the 125, is it worth it? 87 minus 47 divided by 2 divided by 500. 3.9. Nope. On the call side, skip the call side. Next, we go to UPS. I think they revised their guidance down. Nope, never mind. It was earnings. Yikes, so must not have been good. Well, could get down to all the way to 124 here. 125. If you sold the 125 and bought the 120, maybe. 146 minus 84 divided by 2 divided by 500. 6.2 on the put side. Now that's interesting. The 120 strike is liquid. The 125 is not the best, I'm not going to lie, but it might get filled. There is some volume today. On the call side, if you sold the 155 and bought the 160, 66 minus 33 divided by 2 divided by 500, 3.3% on the call side. Skip the call side. I wish this was more liquid. 125 on the chart is all the way down here. We'll make a note of it. We'll check in the coming days. If it keeps moving down, let's check in with FedEx. When is FedEx's earnings? FDX. They're down in sympathy today. Earnings are almost near Christmas. So that's interesting. We've got some time here. If you want to do something with FedEx, you know what? Maybe we'll do that. Should catch a bounce around 221 or so, 220, maybe even all the way down to 216, somewhere around there. On the put side, if you sold 200 and bought 195, what do you get? 198 minus 148 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5% on the nose. On the call side, I'd skip the call side. 200 on the chart, where's that? 200's all the way down here. We'll put FDX on the list for tomorrow. NXPI. Up 5% today. Semiconductor. Earnings are November 6th. We are too close to earnings. Let's move on. Carrier. We looked at this one a couple times in the past. Earnings have now come. To a liquid. Next. Bristol Myers. Earnings were today, I assume. Correct. I could get a bounce here. Let's check out the put side on Bristol Myers. The 50 is too close, and the 45 is very, very illiquid. Look at that. The bid is 0. The ask is 62. The 50 is good. If you want to sell a cash secured put, I'm not going to, but that would get filled. You can't do the spread though. On the call side, skip the call side. You don't get paid for it. Hasbro, yikes, down 12% today. Is this earnings? Yes, earnings move for Hasbro. Should catch a bounce here. Let's look at the put side on Hasbro. 2 illiquid. The 40's liquid. If we sold the 42.5 and bought the 37.5, what do you get? 75 minus 20 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5.5%. Not worth it. If you sold the 55 on the call side, nah. Let's move on. Close. No cigar. Hurts. This is a bankrupt stock. Earnings, that's why. No. Horrible. Let's look at the options just for fun. Not going to do anything here. The 7.5 is too close. It's call side. There's nothing to do there. Let's look at the TLT. Here's our chart. It's going to continue moving down. We'll see if there's a floor when the 10-year gets to 5%, if it really holds for a couple days. But it could keep moving down further and further. Between 80 and 82.5. Getting close though. It moves like a snail. If you sold the 77, bought the 73, 72. 78 minus 28 divided by 2 divided by 500. 5% on the nose. It's getting up there. It's usually, for a $500 spread, only in the 4% return. It's at 5 now. On the call side, if you sold, we sell the 90 and buy the 95. 73 minus 26. Divide that by 2. Divide that by 500. Worse on the call side. Let's move on. CRM. This is a holdover now. Earnings are in December. Nah. If anything, I'd sell the call side now. $220 a little close for comfort. The 230 is too far out. What if we did the 230? Sold the 230 and bought the 240. That's $1,000 spread. So if you've got a small account, like $1,000, you're using all of your capital, so be careful of that. 142 minus 68 divided by 2 divided by 1,000. That's only 3.7%. No good. I'm going to take CRM off the list. Microsoft, they had earnings 2 days ago now. Okay. They're selling off day 2. If you opened a call spread yesterday, you're probably already out of it. Good job. This one's kind of in no man's land right now. Yeah, I don't want to do anything here. They could definitely bounce here and keep moving up, or it can continue to sell off if the market continues to sell off, if the bonds keep going up towards 5% on the 10-year. So I don't know what to do here. You could do a Condor if you want. Sell the 300 and buy the 295. That's 335 minus 274 divided by 2 divided by 500. 6.1 if you sold the put side. And on the call side, if you sold the 365 and bought the 370, it's 261 minus 189 divided by 2 divided by 500. 7.2 if you sold the call side. So there is more buying on the call side than on the put side. So they're more expensive here. 7.2% return. I don't want to take either one. Tesla's next. Their slide down continues. Earnings for Tesla January, so good. We're post earnings. Same thing with Tesla. We're kind of in no man's land here. When you sell calls, you kind of want to wait for this big move up, then sell calls. You want to wait for a big move down, then sell puts. If it was down here at like 158, 159, I'd definitely be selling a put spread, but we're just kind of in the middle here. If you sold the 170 and bought the 165, 337 minus 272, divide that by 2, divide that by 500, 6.5% if you sold that put spread. On the call side, if you sold the 250 and bought the 255, that's 390 minus 320 divided by 2, divided by 500, 7% on the nose if you sold the call side. Again, I have no feelings either way. Netflix. Post earnings. Seems to be coming around. Maybe now is the time to sell the call spread. If you sold the 465 and bought the 470. 432 minus 362 divided by 2 divided by 500, 7% on the nose. Where is 465 on the chart? Right about here. Let me zoom in a bit. 465 is right here. This one's not bad. We may open this one. We'll come back. Let's look at Boeing. Post earnings. May get that bounce right around here. Put side on Boeing. If you sold the 155 and bought the 150, 166 minus 116 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5% on the nose. That's like the bare minimum we're looking for. It's got some liquidity here too. I think I'd rather go with Netflix at this point. All right, let's go to our IV rank scanner, and we'll sort by volume here. The SPY's up to 71% IV rank for the 30-day IV rank. Let's go to SPY. Here's our chart. I have my put spread already open. We're down. That's all right. Could get a bounce right around here. Anywhere between here and 405. 405 is a 50% retracement from the lows here in October. So anywhere between 405 and now, it should get a good bounce. My strikes are way outside of that. My strike is 393. So even if it goes past 405, I'm way down here. So I'm okay with that. If you want to open something on the put side today, December expiration. Here are my strikes. But if you want to open something new, sell the 386 and buy the 381. That's 366 minus 303 divided by 2 divided by 500. 6.3% return. That's not bad. On the call side, if you think it's going to keep moving down, sell the 443 and buy the 448. 163 minus 97 divided by 2 divided by 500. 6.6% on the call side. Up to you. They could start getting a bounce any day now. Anywhere between 415 and 405, it should get a good bounce. Even if that bounce only goes up to, say, 425, 422. Next, the Qs, Tesla. We already looked at Tesla. Meta, we looked at Meta. NVIDIA has earnings in about a month. Too close. Amazon is today after the close. So we'll check in with Amazon tomorrow morning. That should be a good one. Amazon's a fun one to trade. It's very liquid. It's right around $100, and it sometimes can be volatile, so that's great. Apple's November 2nd. Microsoft, we already looked at Microsoft today. AMD, earnings are on Halloween. We'll follow up then. The banks still have volatility. Bank of America. We have a short call spread on JP Morgan. Looking to get 8% on that one. Remember, we opened that one yesterday at the close. We're at the close of our show. DraftKings, earnings on the 2nd. The KRE is up to 71% volatility. Let's take a look at the KRE. Got a nice bounce here. On the put side, if you sold the 34 and bought the 30, that's 52 minus 19 divided by 2 divided by 400, 4.1% on the put side. Not that great. On the call side, if you sold the 45 and bought the 49, that's 42 minus 9 divided by 2. Hold on, messed it up, sorry. 42 minus 9 divided by 2 divided by 400, 4.1% on the call side. Skip the call side for the KRE. It's not worth it. TLT Ford, they're resolving their strike issues very soon. That's good news for them. Palantir, earnings. Intel has earnings today after the close, so we'll follow up with Intel tomorrow morning. Earnings for Square and PayPal. GM, we already looked at GM. IBM, we already looked at IBM. Uber has earnings. Let's go back and look at Netflix. We're looking at selling the call side here. As long as I think the strike was up here somewhere. Sold the 465 and buy the 470. 427 minus 360 divided by 2 divided by 500, 6.7% return. That's not bad. I think we're going to go ahead and do this one. Sell the 465 and buy the 470. Let me just make sure we are past earnings correct, not till January. So I just want to double check everything, make sure everything's perfect. 465 on the chart. 465 is right here. Doesn't mean it can't get there, but I'm comfortable with that kind of movement. All right, let's open it up. We're going to go to verticals. On the call side, December expiration. 465, 470. Not as liquid as I'd hoped. Maybe we won't do this one. It's very illiquid. I'll do it anyways. It's Netflix. All right, we'll sell one December expiration of 465 on the call side, and we're going to buy one December expiration 470 on the call side. Limit. Credit. We'll go with 80. All right. Risking $500. We'll preview this. Let's double check the ticket here. Sell one 465 call to open. Buy one 470 call to open. We'll receive a credit of $80. Make sure you receive a credit. We'll go ahead, send that out. It'll hang tight here all day. We'll try to get 40 cents if this gets filled. That's an 8% return on the nose. All right. So let's hang out here all day. Like I said, if it gets filled, we'll set a buy to close order, limit debit for 40 cents, set that good till canceled, and it'll hang out here with the rest of them. Okay? This is December expiration. I think that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in every day, 7:15 a.m. on the West Coast, 10:15 a.m. on the East Coast. We go live every morning, every trading day. Tell your friends to subscribe as well. Tune in if they're struggling trading options. We can all learn and trade together. Subscribe, follow every day. And if you enjoyed watching that XOP trade, there's a link right above to Venmo if you want to say thank you because you enjoyed the trade. Send $1, send $2, whatever. It helps support me, helps support the channel. Good job today, everyone. See you tomorrow.